Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another Excitech BIM 360 surgery. And this morning it is surgery number 56. And today I'm going to take a look at some of the latest updates to design collaboration and model coordination. Now, the update I'm going to go through today is sort of an administration update where they have sort of unified the administration and the approach between the design team environment and the model coordination environment. So what I've done is I've just created a brand new project which has no data in it whatsoever. It's just got an existing folder structure I copied from my usual surgery project. The reason for this is because I had teams already previously set up. So I'm going to set up some new teams and look at the now unified approach of how we can create coordination spaces around the shared environment within teams. So I've got a shared folder. So for those of you that don't know, is that when you go to project administration, BIM 360 will default a design collaboration shared environment. So when you go into the admin here, you can see it's welcome to design collaboration. You get started. And you will see here that you need to create and specify a shared folder location. And as default, the old method was it would always default to this location, project files. And if this folder didn't exist, it would create it. We then had the ability to then specify a different folder, which is why you can go in and you can actually pick an existing folder that you want. And now we have this new option called create a coordination space on the shared folder. So it now allows you that you can have your shared environment, and as you're publishing your content in there, it also will act as the coordination space. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is just create some folders. So I'm going to cancel out of all of that, and I'm going to create a shared folder for each of my team disciplines, which can then act as my coordination zone as well. So instead of creating the standard project file shared, I'm going to go into a predefined shared folder, and I'm going to create a subfolder called Arch, just to make it nice and simple, and then create another one for MEP, and if we want another one for structure. So we have 3 team environments set up, and these are going to act as our shared folders that we will use when we create the teams. So we go back to project administration and go to the design collaboration section. So design collaboration, and we're going to get started, and we're going to use a different folder. So I'm not going to use my default. I'm going to select a different folder, and this is going to be my shared environment, and then I select it. What we now have is the option is that we can also create a coordination space on this shared folder. If we click it, it will automatically create that coordination space. We don't have to tick it at this point. We can retrospectively go back and go in and do it. A big important note, obviously highlighted in red, is that once you specify the shared folder, it cannot be changed. So be very careful about where you're picking, where you want to go. And now I'm going to click continue. So I'm just double checking it's 02 shared, click continue. And that will then create that shared environment and specify it. What we now have is a little update to the add team screen. So it's a little bit more unified and easier to understand. So we can then add teams. We can give it a team name. So I can say Arch. And what we can also do is you will see that the default team name will be project files, then that team folder. But what I want is I want to select an existing folder and just map it in to that environment. So I'm going to say that my architecture team is coming from my 3D design folder. And that's just the way that I've set my project, but that could be anywhere that you specify. And that team is then created because that's where I'm going to put my Revit project effectively. You can see that that team is now there. We have the ability to edit the color. And what you also get now, because we said we didn't want to create a coordination space, we can actually click this create button and it will create that coordination space. So I could just say, give that a name. And we could say that that is now the Arch coordination space, and click create, and that will just then create that coordination space. You will then see it's now got the option to deactivate it. I can now put another team in, and I can say MEP and do the same process where we select that folder that I want to use, which is this one. And again, it will add the next team in, and then I can again create a coordination space based upon that. And we could say that this is the, click create and just stay within the dialog box. And we click create. And you can see it's now creating that coordination space. And let's finish it off with the structure team. We select an existing folder and we go to work in progress, and this is going to be my structure folder. And I click add team, and you'll now see I've now got my 3 teams added with that coordination space. Ooh. Create. So you can now see we've just got a unified approach where we can specify the team location, which is the shared area, and then we can have a corresponding coordination space in there. What we could do with each of these is we can click deactivate, and it will simply deactivate it. But if we go and look at model coordination, we can see that these coordination spaces now exist in here. You can see that they're all built, and we still have the option to deactivate it from this environment. If we click back and look at design collaboration, there's another sort of hidden option in there when we're creating these. If we look at the manage project tab, you will see that we have an option in here to enable coordination space on the shared folder. So even if you don't retrospectively do it within the Teams environment, you can click in here. Ticking this on will then automatically create that coordination space in here. And if we look at model coordination, you will see we now have a 4th area, which is a shared coordination space. So it can actually tick on the actual complete shared folder as your coordination space. So when we go back to design collab, and what you can do is you can, if you go back into manage the project, if you tick this off, it won't delete, it will deactivate that coordination space. So when we go back to here, you will see that this is now deactivated, and you can then retrospectively go back and deactivate it, whichever way you want to do it. So it just gives that sort of unified approach on managing them spaces, and also the ability now that these coordination spaces can also be from the shared folders. So just depending on how you're setting up your collaboration and your coordination, this might be really, really useful. So currently in my project, in the old project, I would have a separate coordination zone. And what I have is, you can see I've got my team collaboration area, and that's where my sort of clash avoidance is happening. And if I just switch and show you that, so what in this project, what I've got is I've got a review workflow set up that shifts the models into this environment. So when we look at team collaboration, you can see that my teams are coming in here, and also these are working out as my model coordination and shared areas. And if we look at, if I take a document, I submit for review, I've got one that will copy to, actually, if I go to the new possible, within this project, I've got a review set up that takes a model for review, and then upon successful approval, it will copy it into the team collaboration clash avoidance area. So if we look at taking a document, you will see that one of the review workflows is issue for coordination review. And under this new setup and context, technically, I don't need to do that, because as part of the sharing and publishing and consuming process within design, the models are already sitting within that environment and then can be used for coordination. So if I just jump back to 56, so it's just a sort of more unified approach from the management side of things about where the shared folder is sitting, and then the subsequent teams that are done thereafter within that area. So hopefully that has sort of explained a little bit around the new update. That's pretty much me for today. Thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget to join me again next week for surgery number 57, and I'll keep you updated on the latest tips and tricks and changes within BIM 360. Have a great rest of the day and stay safe out there. See you soon.